Before sunrise, you strip in the bathhouse, grip your dented lunch pail, and squeeze onto a mantrip plunging miles under solid rock. The weak glint of your headlamp is the only light between you and collapse, as the air thickens with coal dust, the darkness pressing in. This is what it meant to be a miner in the 1970s, when every shift traded a paycheck for the chance you would not return. But was it worth the risk? And what did survival really demand down there? Steam rises in the bathhouse, mixing with the sting of disinfectant and the faint, oily scent of coal dust that never quite leaves the walls. You claim your spot on the bench, peeling off your street clothes and stuffing them into a metal locker, the number stamped on a brass tag that matches your name on the shift sheet. The ritual is automatic, tugging on heavy cotton overalls, lacing boots, strapping on your hard hat. The headlamps wait next. One by one, hands reach for battered headlamps, each checked and charged overnight, the beam barely wide enough to light your boots, let alone the path ahead. The self-rescuer, an awkward boxy mask, clips to your belt, required by law since the late 60s, but rarely trusted to save anyone. Lunch pails rattle as the crew files out, boots echoing on concrete. Outside, the cold bites, but the portal yawns open, swallowing men by the dozen. You squeeze onto the mantrip, knees pressed tight against dented steel, shoulders jammed between friends and men you barely know. The car lurches forward, groaning along rails slick with coal slurry. 10, sometimes 12 men to a car. No belts, just the grip of your hand on the rail and the thud of your heart as the light from the surface shrinks to a pinprick behind you. The ride stretches for miles, 3, sometimes 4, deeper with every minute. The air grows hotter, heavier, thick with the taste of stone and dust. Headlamps flicker in the black, carving out narrow tunnels of vision as the walls close in. Conversation drops to a hush. Every jolt of the tracks, every echo off the timbered roof reminds you how far you are from daylight and how much weight presses above. Underground, time and breath blur. Only the rhythm of the mantrip and the sound of your own breath mark the journey from the world above to the one below. At the coal face, machines do the heavy cutting, but nothing moves without a miner's hands guiding the process. The continuous miner, a hulking machine with a spinning drum lined with steel teeth, chews into the seam, sending coal and stone flying in a blur of noise and dust. You stand close, shoulder to the controls, sweat running down your neck even in winter, eyes burning as the headlamps catch the swirling black cloud. The drum never stops unless you tell it. Your knees braced, boots planted in the muck, every sense alert for the shudder that means the rock above is shifting. Behind you, the roof bolter crew gets to work. 2 men drive steel rods deep into the ceiling, drilling overhead while rock dust rains down. The bolter's motor whines, echoing through the tunnel, and the steel clangs as each bolt is hammered home. You can't rush this part. Every bolt is a lifeline, but the clock is always ticking, and the foreman wants more footage every shift. Sometimes you have to crawl, lying flat in spaces barely high enough for your helmet, arms stretched out to guide the drill. Shuttle cars rumble in and out, hauling fresh-cut coal to the conveyor belt, their brakes squealing in the tight corners. But even with all this machinery, hand tools never leave your side. A battered pick for breaking loose stubborn chunks, a shovel for clearing the spill, a sledgehammer for timbering where the roof looks weak. No matter how advanced the equipment, your back and your hands still do the work the machines can't finish. Every shift is a test of muscle and nerve, the technology just an extension of the men who run it. Every man underground knew the risks by heart. The most feared was a roof fall. Even with steel bolts hammered overhead, the mountain could give way in an instant, sometimes with a warning groan, sometimes with nothing but a sudden roar and a cloud of dust. Most deaths happened close to the face, within 25 feet of where the coal was being cut. You learned to read the cracks in the rock, to listen for the creak of timbers, but even the old-timers got caught when the ceiling let go. Methane was the silent killer. It seeped up from the coal itself, invisible and odorless, pooling in the high spots and corners. One spark from a machine or a faulty wire, and the gas could ignite, turning the tunnel into a blast furnace. Safety films warned about it, but the air always tasted different after a close call. You trusted your nose more than any meter. Flooding was another way the mine could trap you. Water built up behind old walls or seeped from forgotten seams, sometimes rushing in so fast it cut off escape routes. There were stories of crews stranded for hours, waiting for pumps to catch up or hoping the water would not rise any higher. The machines that made the work possible could also maim or kill. Shuttle cars and conveyor belts ran day and night, and a moment's distraction could cost you a finger, a hand, or worse. The noise made it hard to hear warnings, and the cramped spaces left no room to dodge trouble. Then there was the dust. You breathed it every shift, coal and rock ground so fine it settled in your lungs and stayed there for good. Black lung was not just a rumor. It was a slow death that showed up in x-rays and in the coughs of men who had given decades to the mine. No mask or regulation could keep it out completely. Every hazard was part of the job, and every man underground carried the weight of those risks, shift after shift. In 1975, an experienced coal miner could bring home between $18,000 and $22,000 a year. In coal country, that was more than a good living. It was enough to buy a house, put food on the table, and even send a child to college. Overtime was a way of life. 50 or 60-hour weeks were common, and every extra shift meant a fatter paycheck. The pay reflected the danger, but it also built a sense of security. You earned every dollar in sweat and risk, trading your back and lungs for a kind of security few other jobs could offer. The union made all the difference. The United Mine Workers of America was not just a line on your pay stub, it was the reason you had health insurance, a pension after 20 years, and disability coverage if the mine finally took its toll. Union contracts spelled out the details, time and a half for overtime, paid sick days, even funeral benefits if the worst happened. The 1974 contract fight stands out in memory. Miners walked off the job for weeks, holding out for better pensions and stronger health protections. It was a hard winter. When the dust settled, the new agreement meant real gains for families across the coal fields. A local historian might call it the high watermark of blue-collar prosperity. Pay stubs from that era tell the story better than any headline: lines for overtime, deductions for union dues, and a total that could support a family. One miner looking back summed it up simply: "We worked for every penny, but the union made sure it counted." The mine whistle set the tempo for the entire town, echoing through the hills at 6 or 7 in the morning to call the day shift again in the afternoon, and once more for the night crew. That sound meant it was time. Time for fathers and sons to shoulder their gear and walk together toward the portal, boots crunching gravel in the half-light. Inside, the rhythm of the workday shaped everything. 8 hours underground, sometimes longer, with sacred moments carved out for a sandwich or a cup of coffee shared in the dark. Crews stuck close, swapping stories and quiet jokes, knowing every man depended on the next. Breaks weren't just for rest. They were a chance to catch your breath, check in, and remember you weren't alone. Generations passed down the trade, with sons learning the ropes from fathers and uncles, pride and worry tangled together in every shift. The whistle's final call brought men back above ground, dirty and tired, but together, ready to do it all again the next day. Some wounds never made the company records. In the assignment books, black miners' names turned up again and again beside the dirtiest, most dangerous jobs: cleanup crews, timbering, anything the white crews refused. The union meetings promised equality, but underground the old patterns held. Chronic pain became a badge you wore home. Bad knees, ruined backs, coughing fits that got worse every winter. Nobody talked about addiction, but the bottles and pill jars told their own story in kitchen cupboards and glove boxes. When a man did not come back, the community passed the hat for the widow, or the union's fund sent a check, never enough to fill the space at the table. Disability was expected, almost routine. Inspectors came and went, but before 1977, fines were light and violations easy to hide. A miner's wife once said that you get used to waiting for the phone to ring. A veteran just called it the price of digging coal. Today, coal still powers nearly 1 in 5 United States homes, yet fewer than 50,000 miners remain. Those who descended underground in the 1970s built more than an industry. They built towns, families, and legacies. Their sacrifice endures in every light switch we flip. Share your thoughts below.